Well, they'll come in now. But anyway, beautiful people, happy Friday, happy Friday. It is September the 16th, 2022, day 214 of year 4, reading through the books of the law and the prophets, and of the 4-year consecutive day count, day 1232. We are picking up where we left off at yesterday on page 607 in OAHSPE, God's Book of Esra, chapter 28. Father, you are bountiful. I started getting a little bit smart because I don't like having to be struggling for words in the morning. So I was like, I was serious yesterday when I said I got to go get a dictionary, my electronic dictionary, right? So I was like, oh, yeah, okay. So I can go every day. I could pick a letter to pick a word from A to Z. And I'll start at A, and then I'll go all the way to Z, taking 2 out the alphabet, right? I'm going to pre-choose my words. And then if I get more as I read and can pull from the reading that day, I'll add it or I'll change it all together, right? So I'm prepared now with words just in case I'm struggling in the morning to pull my words together, right? All right, beautiful people. Hana, shalom, shalom. All right, y'all. Page 607, chapter 28. Zacchaeus said, without rites and ceremonies, a people is like a collection of musicians with everyone playing a different tune. Without pledges to general rules, a community is, listen, it's kind of like what I just said about my own self. I need to have something together. Just as a backup. And if I can't pull my words together, because to me it was a mess, I'm like, girl, you should be better than this. This is unacceptable. Listen. Zacchaeus said, without rites and ceremonies, a people is like a collection of musicians with everyone playing a different tune. Without pledges to general rules, a community is like a farm without fences where cattle roam about, destroying the harvest. 2 things stand prominently before all men, about which there need be no dispute: light and darkness. Elijah, shalom, shalom. Whether ye call the light Eolin, or Ormaz, or God, or Sudga, it mattereth little, provided the idea eliminated hath reference to that which is the highest conceived of, who is ever present, and is the person from whom all persons sprung. And whether ye call darkness sin, or evil, or Satan, it mattereth little, provided the idea eliminated is that which is provided the idea eliminated is that which is the extreme opposite of light. Let me read this again. So pretty much what it's saying is, it doesn't matter what you call the great creator, as long as the idea, you understand the idea that means the creator of all things, from which all things originate and spring forth from. And it doesn't really matter what you call darkness, whether you call it Satan or you call it somebody's name that you know. It needs to be, and not that that person is the ultimate source of darkness. It needs to be understood that that darkness, or whatever you name it, is the extreme opposite of what light is. 2 things stand prominently before all men about their hold on, been tongue-tied. 2 things stand prominently before all men about which there need be no dispute: light and darkness. Whether ye call the light Eolin, or Ormaz, or God, or Sudga, it mattereth little, provided the idea eliminated hath reference to that which is the highest conceived of, who is ever present, and is the person from whom all persons sprung. And whether ye call darkness sin, or evil, or Satan, it mattereth little, provided the idea eliminated is that which is the extreme opposite of light. Without these 2 entities in view, to shun the one and strive for the other, a community is like race horses striving for a prize by running in circular capers instead of going on a well-provided track. Take no man nor woman into the family till first pledged to serve the all-person Jehovah Ormaz with a full and willing heart. To shun Satan and his emissaries, be circumspect. And when ye are come together, choose ye the oldest, wisest, best man to be the father of the family community. When matters come up for discussion, whoever speaketh thereon shall speak in the direction of light and not of darkness. When asked further explanation on this, Zacchaeus said, there are two modes of discussion before all men. One is to impart light, and the other is to abuse the opponent. The first is Jehovah's. The second is Satan's method. In the family discussion, the latter method shall not be tolerated by the father, Rabbah. After the discussion is finished, the Rabbah shall decree according to the light of the Father in him. Zacchaeus was here asked, why not decree according to the majority vote? Zacchaeus said, that is the Lord light, being the light of men only. For I declare unto you, ye cannot serve both Jehovah and men. It is incumbent on every man in the community that entereth the discussion to speak from the higher light as he perceiveth it, without regard to policy or consequences. That's good. Let me read that again. Verse 14, page 607. For I declare unto you, ye cannot serve both Jehovah and men. It is incumbent upon every man in the community that entereth the discussion to speak from the higher light as he perceiveth it, without regard to policy or consequences. And the same law shall be binding on the Rabbah. And though 9 men out of 10 side the other way, yet the Rabbah's decree shall stand above all the rest. When the discussion turneth upon rites and ceremonies which the community may adopt, or the music, or the discipline regarding funerals, or marriages, or births, the speaker shall remember that a family is composed of old and young, of sedate and jocose, and that every talent is created for the glory of the whole and for the glory of the Creator, and they shall enlarge their understanding to embrace the whole, remembering it is easier to walk beside a bull and turn him in his course than to come against him for the same purpose. That's another way of saying it's easier to catch flies with honey than with vinegar. Or you can change vinegar to another word, whichever floats your boat. Listen, I'm going to read that again. Verse 15, page 607. When the discussion turneth upon rites and ceremonies which the community may adopt, or the music, or the discipline regarding funerals, or marriages, or births, the speakers shall remember that a family is composed of old and young, of sedate and jocose, and that every talent is created for the glory of the whole and for the glory of the Creator, and they shall enlarge their understanding to embrace the whole, remembering it is easier to walk beside a bull than to turn him in his course, than to come against him for the same purpose. One man hath joy in sacrifice or worship, by clapping his hands and dancing, another in poetry, another in singing, another in silent prayers. And yet one hath no preference over another in sight of him who created them, for they are his own handiwork. Notice how OAHSPE keeps to the idea that worship is not, that sacrifice is worship. Yeah. OAHSPE keeps to the fact, well, what we've learned, that sacrifice is worship, not slaughtering of animals or anything else, all right? So every time it's very specific about when it talks about that, but when it talks about sacrifice to the Creator, right, it's not talking about slaughtering humans nor beasts or anything where you got to shed blood. It is simply the offering of yourself to the Creator in praise and worship, right? I'll read that again. Verse 16 on the right, verse 16 in chapter 28, which is the right side and last verse of the right side, page 607. One man hath a joy in sacrifice, and in parentheses it has worship, by clapping his hands and dancing, another in poetry, another in singing, another in silent prayers. And yet one hath no preference over another in sight of him who created them, for they are his own handiwork. Consider then that ye provide a time and place in the community for all of these in their own way, directing them holily. Yeah, holily. For if ye strive to bind them that are of exuberant spirits, not to dance and clap their hands, they will find vent in secrecy and to an evil end. Right? So, like some people say, don't be doing it. Don't take all that. They got to get it out. Let them get their worship out. As long as they ain't twerking, they good, right? Listen, let me read that again. Consider then that ye provide a time and place in the community for all of these in their own way, directing them holily. For if ye strive to bind them, For if ye strive to bind them that are of exuberant spirits, to not dance and clap their hands, they will find vent in secrecy and to an evil end. Yes. This is strawberry. This is. You gonna use both of them? All right. Herein have the Brahmin priests been aiders and abettors of bawdy houses and of drunkenness and licentiousness, because they have sought to make you ascetics by overthrowing your natural talents. Right? So we know there's some people that are really, really animated. Like me, I'm pretty laid back and reserved, but I can't get quite animated when I talk about my creator. It's like I can't help it, right? So I'm the type of person I can't sit in the dry place. I'll start doing stuff and be like, you know what? Excuse me, ma'am, you're gonna have to get out of here, right? As I don't know, I find this to be true from my own personal experience. I take everybody with me. Come on, y'all go ahead. The children, don't try and quiet them down, right? You know, I mean, if they ain't, y'all get it. Let's go on. Hold on. I ain't marked my chapter numbers. It's 28, 29, 30. Sometimes I still be struggling with the Roman numerals, y'all. Okay. 31, 32. Okay, y'all. Chapter 29. Zacchaeus said, of a truth, I declare a new thing to you, but which was old thousands of years ago, that religion is nothing more nor less than rites and ceremonies in the discipline of a community. And when an army of soldiers are in training by their captains, when certain commands and maneuvers? Yeah, I think that's maneuvers. Okay. And when an army of soldiers are in training by their captains, when certain commands and maneuvers cause the soldiers to be as a unit in movement, so is religion in a community through rites and ceremonies made as a unit to carry out works of charity and harmony and love and righteousness. And every member of a community that taketh no part in its religion is like an idolater mixing in with a company of soldiers where his presence tendeth to evil. Brahmin priests go about preaching, singing, and praying before audiences, making great show in the temples, yet none of these practice what they profess. From these evils learn ye to do good. First, by living only in families where all the members practice what they profess. As the world goeth, it is easier to preach and call it religion, but the fruit must be measured by the city or the state that is saved from sin. Who then of all the priests in the temple can say, here is a community saved from sin? Okay, I think I understand a little bit more. What OAHSPE is saying, don't quote me, at least from my understanding of it right now. The religion, rites, and ceremonies, right? It's just to kind of like keep order. We got a basis because it's going to be a lot of us when we come together. In families, it's like a certain structure and order, to whereas nowadays, the whole rites and ceremonies have been made to be this thing that we must do in order to like be spiritual. That's if we Christian, this is just what we do. Or if we're Muslims, this is how we do this because this is what Muslims do. When really it was just to keep order in the big groups, so we don't, so nobody gets lost in the sauce, so to speak. That's how I'm understanding this. Let me go back. I'm gonna reread it. I'm gonna just read the whole thing over again. Hold on. Then that look, the church say no dancing, so they go to the club and dance. perfect example, right? And what it say, right? Look. For if ye strive to bind them that are of exuberant spirits, not to dance and clap their hands, they will find vent in secrecy and to an evil end. So now you ain't let them get this out and worship of the Creator. Now they're forced to twerk. I ain't saying they're forced to, but in their mind, because they're such, especially, and you find those ones, and not all of them because it's a good mix of people, but you find those ones who are truly like, what's the word for them? Like in the marketing field, we would call people with those type of personalities like sapphires. Like their color is red. They're animated. But those are also like what you would find if you look at the different places in the world where these groups of people they're classified as a different term, but it's the same group of people. They're considered like troublemakers in school, not because they're truly at heart troublemakers. It's because they haven't found vent for their natural talents, and those who are teaching them are the wrong type of teachers, right? They need teachers that are just like them. Otherwise, the other ones, they're gonna like, you're doing too much in my class, you better sit down and be quiet. It's like it's almost impossible. It's literally a fire on the inside of them that needs to be cultivated by a more mature fire, right? Yeah. But yeah, then you find them. That's where they at, and they're in the club because they got to do something. They got to get it out. But they've had the wrong teachers. Okay. Zacchaeus said, of a truth, I declare a new thing to you, but which was old thousands of years ago, that religion is nothing more nor less than rites and ceremonies in the discipline of a community. And when an army of soldiers are in training by their captains, when certain commands and maneuvers cause the soldiers to be as a unit in movement, so is religion in a community through rites and ceremonies, made as a unit to carry out works of charity and harmony and love and righteousness. Back to my last comment about they need the right teachers. A perfect example of a movie would be with Tris and Divergent. Remember the factions of people? Think about their personalities and everything. And so these type of people that got to give vent, the animated ones, they would be the Divergents, right? Because think about the training. If you've seen it, think about the training of the different factions, right? Their trainings, like if they're in the books, they're detailed data, all this stuff, they would be the blue color. Like the blue, I forget the name of it, but anyway, different factions. But the Divergent ones, think about their training. They did like everything. To get into their training headquarters, you had to first catch a train, right? But not just, okay, I'm here to punch my ticket. No, my G, that ain't how we catch the train over here. We run and we catch the train while it's moving at full speed. It don't slow down, right? It may slow down coming around the bend. So if you're smart, you just learning how to get in here. You want to catch the train at the bend when it's going around the corner, right? No, you see that train coming a mile away, you better start running, my G, because we got to catch the train. So it's like already we know we got energy. So we from the very beginning we helping you train your gifts, right? So you full of energy. We hear the horn. It's time to start running. Woo! It's time to go, class. Matter of fact, I wouldn't say it's time to go, class. I'll be running. It's time to go, class. Let's go. And they be looking like, oh shoot, she running. We got to catch the train. And then to get into headquarters of Divergent training, hey, I'm here. No, my G. We got to jump off a building into our headquarters. Not knowing that the first time you go, it's like, wait a minute. Maybe I was just playing. I ain't really Divergent. I'm going to go back over here. Because I ain't really about this life. No. Jump into headquarters off the building. What's down there? Don't worry about that. You figure it out when you get down there. And somebody got to take the plunge. And you don't hear nothing. I mean, you hear them screaming as they go down, but you don't hear no thud or nothing. You don't know if they still falling, but you got to look at it. The teachers, a lot of time, when they get to the next place where you got to jump, they've already been through it. So if we think about it, okay, they board us here. It don't seem safe, but if this is part of our training, hopefully they got something prepared where we don't die. They're telling us to jump here, right? They say it's safe, we're going to go, and like they about this, and we just going to have to do this, right? We just going to have to go. And people just start, and here's the crazy thing about the divergence. Okay, those are the true divergents. All right, and they jump off the building and leap into their building, into a big black hole. Thankfully, there was a net to catch them, but it's to develop their personality of who they are, because they have to have no fear. They got to get on with the getting on. These are the leaders that's going to help break the other people free who stuck in the classes of Dr. Johnson. And they in there, some of them, they shut it up. I'm trying to listen. No, you cannot use my notes. You should have did your own work. Well, I'm sorry. All right. Okay, yes. I have a request. Can you give us 4 more pages of homework tonight? Because last night, the 13 pages just wasn't enough for me, right? And it's just like, I will. Now, I love the research and stuff, but I'm more of the, for real, there's like this hidden fire on the inside of me. And it's like, I want to go catch a train and jump into my training center. Right? And I find that to be, it's exciting, and it pushes me to break out of this little shell. Even when we went to Disney, after that first one, it tricked me. Look, we thought Space Mountain, we was like, oh, this is a cool little, kitty thing. It tricks the senses as you stroll through this mountain, constantly going up, right? Like not thinking we're going to have to come down the mountain, right? So we was tricked with all the aesthetics and stuff, and oh my gosh, nice dinosaurs or whatever, not realizing this car we was about to get into was about to zip us down a mountain full speed ahead in the dark. Now, mind you, they said Space Mountain is one of the slowest roller coasters that they have in Disney, going at 27 miles per hour. But they said the trick of it is that it's done in the dark, and it tricks the mind to make you think you're going faster than what you are. They said, but out the whole park, all 4 parks, it is the slowest ride. I'm like, boy, they done learned something about the mind. But after I did that, I'm like, okay. I was pretty shook up for the rest of the day. And the next day, I'm like, and I'm doing everything to avoid these roller coasters. But when I saw that my fear was affecting my 11-year-old, I'm like, yo, it really made me stop and think. And James was like, you can't push your fears onto him. I was like, babe, you absolutely right. Oh my God. Then I felt horrible. Like, because now my fear is becoming his fear. And he walk around the park with Arthur fists and stuff when we even get close to a roller coaster ready to fight, because he think we're going to make him get on it. I'm like, okay, Josh, we got to conquer this fear together. We got to get over our fear of heights, right? Because we're truly divergents at heart. Like, we the ones, listen, I'm going to go out here first. I'm going to let you know somebody be looking out for me. I'm going to see if Master really standing outside the store. If he not, I'm going to come get, matter of fact, I ain't come back. Y'all better watch for me. And I'm like, and y'all better follow behind me, right? It's like, I'm the one that's going to be taking the chances. But I'm glad I was born today. I might not have lived too long. They be whipping me. They probably be done burnt me at the stake and everything, right? So, but anyway, let's just go back. Verse 3. Chapter 29. And every member of a community that taketh no part in its religion is like an idler mixing in with a company of soldiers, where his presence tendeth to evil. Brahmin priests go about preaching, singing, and praying before audiences, making great show in the temples. Yet none of these practice what they profess. From these evils learn ye to do good. First, by living only in families where all the members practice what they profess. As the world goeth, it is easy to preach and call it religion, but the fruit must be measured by the city or the state that is saved from sin. Who then of all the priests in the temple can say, here is a community saved from sin? If they cannot do this, then they are themselves hypocrites and blasphemers. Woo! Now that's a hard pill to swallow. You hear professing that you do this and you saving this and Jesus reigns in your city, but we can't look at the city and tell that, right? Because your results are measured by the city you live in. I'm just like, shit. Elijah said you can see the Druhas on some of the people last night in the chat when it came to the name. And the sad truth was they were getting their answers and reading. Hold on, let me go back. Listen, I was tuned in, but I was tuned in on Selah's channel, and I'm like, man, I can't hear, I can't see. But somebody, I forget who it was. I think it was Gloria. She sent me the link for the full interview where we can see everybody and what was being shown on the screen and all that. So I didn't actually see that till this morning when I woke up. So I'm gonna go back today and I'm gonna watch the full thing like over. Like I say, you can see the Druhas on some of the people last night in the chat when it came to the name. And the sad truth was they were getting their answers in the reading and the interview. Okay. You said that's exactly what happened last night in the reading. Correlates with what occurred last night. Yes, yeah, I got to go back and I got to watch it all over again. Okay. All right, y'all. Verse 8. Satan called out from a dark corner saying, "Remain thou within the wicked world and leaven the whole mass." Again, hold on, let me start this all over. I think I broke it up too much and I lost track myself of what I was reading. Let me just start over. Chapter 29, page 608. Okay. Zacchaeus said, "Of a truth, I declare a new thing to you, but which was old thousands of years ago, that religion is nothing more nor less than rites and ceremonies in the discipline of a community. And when an army of soldiers are in training by their captains, when certain commands and maneuvers cause the soldiers to be as a unit in movement, so is religion in a community through rites and ceremonies made as a unit to carry out works of charity and harmony and love and righteousness. And every member of a community that taketh no part in its religion is like an idolater mixing in with a company of soldiers where his presence tendeth to evil. Brahmin priests go about preaching, singing, and praying before audiences, making great show in the temples, yet none of these practice what they profess. From these evils, learn ye to do good. First, by living only in families, where all the members practice what they profess. As the world goeth, it is easy to preach and call it religion, but the fruit must be measured by the city or the state that is saved from sin. Who then of all the priests in the temple can say, here is a community saved from sin? If they cannot do this, then they themselves are hypocrites and blasphemers. Satan called out from a dark corner, saying, "Remain thou within the wicked world, and leaven the whole mass." Again he called out from a dark corner, saying, "Go thou away from the wicked world, and live as an ascetic, praying alone, living alone." And again he called from the dark corner, saying, "Thou and thy friends are too pure to mix with the world. Go ye away privately, and let the world take care of itself. Now I say unto you, do none of these things, and in the same breath I say, do all of them. Let your community remain within the world, that it may be a proven example that love, peace, plenty, and happiness are possible on the earth. Let the community be sufficiently ascetic to attain the beatific." Okay. Let the community be sufficiently ascetic to attain the beatific state, which is the triumph over, let me read it over. Verse 12, page 608, chapter 29. Let your community remain within the world, that it may be a proven example that love, peace, plenty, and happiness are possible on the earth. Let the community be sufficiently ascetic to attain the beatific state, which is the triumph of spirit over flesh. And as to the third proposition, take ye no part in the governments of men, of kings or queens, neither fight ye for them nor against them. For they live under the lower law, but ye shall live under the law of Jehovah, as he speaketh to the soul of man. Pause. Hold on one second. They too loud. Y'all. Hey. Turn it down. And what is that y'all watching? What is that on? Is that a video or is that on Kitty Jacks? No, it's lyrics. Oh, okay. I'm about to holler up there. Don't be up there doing no twerking. My niece is over here. And they get together with Bella. I'm like, oh, they got to go. They can't be training my child to do stuff like this. No, I'm joking. But Dudu gotta watch them when the music is playing. You know how sometimes they take twerk worthy music and they pair it with children's cartoons and stuff. I gotta double check when I hear certain tunes. I like, oh, what y'all watching? Is that the children thing? She said, oh, it's just the lyrics. But what I should have asked another question. Is it the lyrics on like Kids Bop? Or is it the lyrics on YouTube, which I'm probably need to walk up. Hey, what are y'all, I know y'all said lyrics, but what are y'all watching?
Oh, they listen to all day songs. What is that? A song.
Carl, what is the lyrics on? Is that YouTube? YouTube what? Like who's playing those lyrics? Is it Kids channel? No? Okay, cut on Encanto. Turn it off. Well, you better find something else besides them. Yeah, see, I figured I had better watch. Josh said, no, it's not the Kids channel. It's like, turn it. Okay. Verse 14. For they live under the lower law, but ye shall live under the law of Jehovah, as he speaketh to the soul of man. Neither shall ye have kings nor queens. These belong to the world's people. Lastly, and above all things, live not for the corporal man, but for the spiritual man, remembering ye are not yet born, but are in embryo, shaping yourselves for everlasting life, right? Remember, earth is the womb, right? And we get to see that on multiple levels while we are within the womb. It's not until what we call here death, when we are truly born, right? And you know how some babies are born with defects and, yeah, my husband got them. Some children are born with defects and there's something wrong with them. Same thing that happens when we're born and we haven't developed fully in Earth's womb. Like we haven't graduated to certain grades and we haven't moved through the phases of this Earth womb, this life. We're born into the spiritual realm in chaos or with defects of our true body, of our spirit, right? And it looks the same. It really looks the same. But now you're truly born and we got it. And the same process happens, right? We got to get you to, what do you call it? We got to get you to NICU, right? Or the hospital for the babies that got issues going. You didn't develop your breathing all the way. You're seeing some body limb or something that's been deformed or turned, or you was born without something. Same process happens. Verse 16. You need something?
No, I was just going to say.
Hey, girl, hey. Lastly, and above all things, live not for the corporal man, but for the spiritual man, remembering ye are not yet born, but are in embryo, shaping yourselves for the everlasting life. Whoso practice not the higher law will not escape the tortures in hell, but whoso liveth the higher law will pass on to nirvana, where dwell gods and goddesses of endless light. Flatter not yourselves that ye shall suddenly reform all the world. Ye can at most but reach an arm's length. 3 doctrines have been, now are, and ever shall be on the earth. They are, the Faithists, who know the all-person, ever-present. 2, the the idol worshipers who make the creator into a man in heaven, which is what the Christians do, and other religions, they just call him something different, but they do the same thing. They think it's a man in heaven, the sky daddy, whatever they want to call him. Second, the idol worshipers who make the creator into a man in heaven and not present but by proxy of certain laws. And third, infidels who believe in nothing they cannot take up in the hand and weigh. The Faithists beget Faithists. The idolaters beget idolaters. The infidels beget infidels. These are the three conditions. For these three conditions are but outward manifestations of the spirit within. Go ahead and highlight that. Highlight the whole verse, but I'm just saying. Hold on. I didn't even finish it. But let me read. I'm going to read it over again. I'm going to finish the whole verse. It's the whole thing. Verse 20. Faithists beget Faithists. The idolaters beget idolaters. The infidels beget infidels. For these three conditions are but outward manifestations of the spirit within. The infidel is nearly devoid of spirit. The idolater hath one grade more of spirit, but the faithist hath spiritual ascendancy, meaning their growth, you can't put limits on their growth, because for one, it should be perpetual. We should be forever learning, forever growing. We can see the whole process in life in everything we see. The Creator has put everything that we should be learning in front of our face. Only if we had eyes to see and pay attention and recognize the lessons in everything, right? Because once you can see it, you can't unsee it. And then you can see it in everything. I'll read it one more time. Verse 20, page 608, chapter 29. The faith, no, let me go back. Verse 19. Three doctrines have been, now are, and ever shall be on the earth. They are, first, the Faithists, who know the all-person, ever-present. Second, the idol worshippers, who make the Creator into a man in heaven and not present, but by proxy of certain laws. And third, infidels, who believe in nothing they cannot take up in the hand and away. The Faithists beget Faithists. The idolaters beget idolaters. The infidels beget infidels. For these three conditions are but outward manifestations of the spirit within. The infidel is nearly devoid of spirit. The idolater hath one grade more of spirit, but the faithist hath spiritual ascendancy. Since the highest, best, good things done in the world come of the order of faithists, be ye circumspect as to marriage, that your offspring incline more to spirituality than to earthliness, right? So you definitely should be careful whom you pair yourself with, right? Some of us know that, right? Not saying that your person won't grow and learn about the Creator. Hopefully that's the case. If you just happen to marry somebody ignorantly, hopefully you both can develop and grow together, right? That way you can produce goodly, godly offspring for the Creator, right? Faith is beget faith, is whether you call your faithist or a believer in a Creator, right? Same thing. You're going to beget what you are, right? You're going to reproduce after your own kind, right? Since the highest, best, good things done in the world come of the order of faithists, be ye circumspect as to marriage, that your offspring incline more to spirituality than to earthliness. But such good matters come under the higher law and can be understood only through the soul. That's good enough to read again. But such matters come under the higher law and can be understood only through the soul. That's so good. That's a whole teaching, multiple teachings strung together in itself, right? Because a lot of people sometimes, man, let me highlight that. Some people, even with reading OAHSPE, and I believe the only reason why some people just don't get it, like even first of all, they already have an attitude that nothing is better than the Bible or whatever their holy book is, right? They don't even they don't even care to look and see not to see what else is out there, like you're trying to pick and choose, but you don't even care to test your own information just to see if it truly is sound like you currently believe it is, right? I had to come to that realization. Well, let me test, because I already got questions myself about some things. I know I ain't going to be able to answer everything, or I may not be able to find, but I at least should test what I think I know, or what I think is already good that's been taught, right? And that's what's really opened my eyes to really stop saying like the Bible is all in all, because clearly I found out, even while I was in it, it's not what I thought it was, right? Some people haven't even gotten to that point. They think it's blasphemy even to just think that. But what that is, and having the courage to actually express that shows that you're trying to grow a little bit, right? You're trying to use your critical thinking. But the church teaches, I use the church all the time because that's where I come from, right? The church teaches you to do, it's that teacher, sit down and shut up. And you do what I say. It's that teacher, those teachers who taught you to be quiet, right? Your natural gifts of being curious. Children are naturally curious. That's hot. How do we know it's really hot till we go burn ourselves, right? Oh, shoot. That's truth. That's hot, right? There's a natural, we are naturally created to verify information that we are given. We are naturally created to do that. But Christianity, it teaches you not to do that. Just believe what the pastor, prophet, apostle, your evangelist is telling you. Oh, my apostle this and my apostle that. You won't catch me giving people them titles, especially now. And some people, listen, I know some people, not to, but some people really, and I really don't be trying to be malicious or like pick fights or anything, but it's just I can't bring myself to give you a title that you put on yourself. Even other people may put on you if I find out that not that you're a bad person or anything like that, but you don't have that title in the sight of the Creator. You may in days to come, but as of right now, I will call you. I'll call you by your government name. Right? And some people, they think that's disrespectful, right? And I don't think so. Okay, so growing up, right? My parents always taught us that you respect elders, and if it's a person older than you, I mean, maybe not teenagers or whatever, but adults, right? You put a Mr. or Mrs. on the beginning of their name, right? And even to this day, I still do that, right? Just because it's in me to do. But religious titles and stuff, when I can clearly tell, I mean, I ain't gonna be, you ain't no pastor. I mean, I'll do that while we here, just to, because it's animated and it's funny. Help you remember the lesson. Help me, right? But I won't do that to their face. I mean, okay, I may just not say a name or title at all, right? I'll just say, okay, thank you. I may not say thank you, pastor, especially if you destroying the people under you. I'm like, okay, then I'll just go on about my way. But I won't put a title. I inwardly refuse to, because by nature I'm divergent. I'm that person. We go against the status quo to we call it breaking the state, right? Yeah, breaking the state, right, Nikki, sir, ma'am, right? We trying to wake you up, break your state of your state of delusion, right? So. But yeah, listen. But yeah, that right there, such matters come under the higher law and can be understood only through the soul. And some people, this is so easy to understand that those who can't understand it, first they don't take the time to read it. But if they actually read it, like with pure intentions, okay, I'm gonna see what all this talk is about. I still love my KJV, my Bible. I ain't gonna get it up, but I'm just saying maybe I should just see, because people saying, look, it helps me understand this, or I'm gonna give it a good chance. I ain't gonna put it up there I ain't gonna put it up here as a holy book. I'm gonna just call this a reference that I can increase my learning, even if you start that way, right? But a lot of people aren't even willing to do that, just to even check out the information and weigh it themselves, right? And they're so they that's why they really can't It really has to be understood by the soul. Because if you had that attitude, it would just unfold for you, and you like unlock, or you open the door to growth for yourself. But really, you put yourself in a position not to grow because of your biasness and the wrong teachers who led you to be that way. Since the highest best things done in the world come of the order of Faithists, be ye circumspect as to marriage, that your offspring incline more to spirituality than to earthliness. But such matters come under the higher law and can be understood only through the soul. Also, hath practice proved that the laws of a community must die with the death of the Rabbah, and that new laws must be made by the new Rabbah. Although I don't live in the UK, I am very interested to see for these next few years that the newly king is running it. I personally don't think he's going to run it for long. Like, bro, you already knocking on eternity doors. The real change is going to come in with the heir after you, for real. But this particular, the current, I'm in America, but I kind of look at some of these things. But unless I have the Charleses mixed up, I was reading a little bit on the different Charles the first, Charles the second, and I think, is this one the second or the third one? This might be the third one. I got to double check. I be getting them mixed up, right? But if I'm not mistaken, this particular one, the king doesn't run anything, the parliament does. Okay. But it's kind of like the president and Congress. People think that the president really, he's really just a spokesperson. He has some authority. He can do all kind of executive orders and stuff like that. But it's really Congress that nobody really say anything about, right? And they the ones, it's the people that you got sitting in Congress, and not the spokesperson and everybody, oh, he shouldn't be in here, or this is God's man. This is not God's man. It's sent from the devil. Like, bruh, they ain't got nothing to do with the price of tea in China. That is not even who you should be paying attention to. It's Congress. And nobody want to talk about Congress. We just want to keep taking shots at the presidents. I'm just like, okay, whatever. Y'all don't even understand. All right. But anyway, I'm interested to see, because some things can be done and different positions can be overturned, adjusted, whatever term you want to use. But I'm interested in some of the new laws that are going to come since the queen is no longer reigning and there's a king. Not that there's a difference between, but I'm interested because she was there for a really, really long time. And there are some things that couldn't be done that possibly may get done in these next two reigns, right? And I think this current reign right here is going to be a really short one. I really do.
What is this?
Bella's mess. She couldn't decide whether she wanted English muffins or oatmeal, so she just put the oatmeal on top of the English muffins.
Yeah. I feel like she's a toddler.
You better leave my daughter alone. She is a toddler. Okay, listen. I'm letting her figure it out. Okay, hold on. Verse 23. Also hath practice proved that the laws of a community must die with the death of the Rabbah, and that new laws must be made by the new Rabbah. And in no case shall the law of precedent of things past apply to things present. For this is making slaves of the living to those that are dead. It is making the wisdom of the dead greater than the wisdom of Jehovah. Wouldn't it be amazing if they let the other son get in, that married Megan? Oh, whoo! It'll turn England upside down, boy. It'll turn the whole of the world upside down. We don't talk about Bruno. That's the son we don't talk about. You see who he married? We cast thee out of here. Imagine if he took the throne. That's what Europe needs. They need that son. They need that son to take the throne. Oh, he not in the line of succession. When a rabbi retires from office, it shall be considered the same as a death. For for it is the termination of his rule. Nor shall the rabbah have any privileges or emoluments over and above any member of the community, nor one man above another, nor one woman above another, for there shall be no partiality, even in favor of the learned and good, over and above the ignorant and the less good. For ye are all brothers and sisters, children of one Father, created by him in his own way and for his own glory. Where we at? 53 minutes? Okay. We'll read one more chapter and then we'll end it. Chapter 30, page 608. Yes.
Tell Bella and Bree to clean that up. Nobody wants messes in the morning.
All right, son. Thank you. For 4 years, Zacchaeus preached, traveling from the east to the west and from the north to the south. And wherever he went, great multitudes came to hear him, for God had so prepared them. And there went with him 72 disciples, who were also inspired of God, to learn the wisdom of Zacchaeus' words. And the people of Vidu were stirred up, as they had not been from the time of Capelia. And it came to pass that the priests and magicians of Brahma sought to condemn Zacchaeus, saying, the oracles and the spirits of the dead declare his words are not true words. Moreover, if he were of the Holy Ghost, he could show signs and miracles. So God gave Zacchaeus signs and miracles, even to showing the spirits of the dead, who came and stood beside him whilst he preached. And the spirits spake also, declaring Zacchaeus' words were of Jehovah. And the multitude saw the spirits and heard them speak. Zacchaeus said, of a truth, I do not come of the Holy Ghost. I come of the actual person, Jehovah or Maz. Then God, imagine if somebody said that in the church. Boy, they would cast you out of there. We don't want the Creator. We want the Holy Ghost. Slay us in him. Yo, listen, somebody said something yesterday. And I you know, I got to play the devil's advocate, right? Because I don't follow this channel. I'm following, I've unsubscribed to a lot of Christian channels. But I really think this particular person with this following, I really believe this person has a really, he truly has a heart after the Father. He's like one of us, but he don't know he one of us yet. But you can tell in everything he does, and the way he loves his children, he treats his wife. I'm like, yeah, bruh, he's like at that state where we were, right? And so certain things that I see him say, he'll come back and he'll be like, man, you know, I thought this was this. And then he's like, God, well, why did this happen? Because, you know, I know this said this. He's like at that point where he's like almost there. Like somebody has to listen. He's already said it ain't no Trinity, like the whole Trinity. I was like, okay, bro, you like right there, you know. So that's why I keep checking in on the channel every now and again, just to see how they're progressing. And even when he came out and started talking about the Trinity, he lost a lot of people. And I'm like, okay, that's okay. You know, I'm looking at the huge following that he has, right? I'm looking at all of them, because when he realizes this, the ones who have hearts like he do, that are really truly searching for the Father, we're really searching for truth. Not that we want to get caught up in religion and all these shenanigans and all this crap. We really want to know what's the real deal, right? And so I can see that with this particular person. And there's a whole group of people just like that, right? I'm like, just keep going. And I like pray for him daily, him and his heart. I'm like, Father, if they just get it, you know? So I asked the question. Now they're talking about tongues and stuff, right? And I can tell when they're talking about the tongues. I'm like, yeah, you giving like book knowledge and what you read there. I don't really see that you've actually experience, right? You know, somebody that's trying to explain something to you that hasn't actually experienced it, they have limited information that they could give you. It's like, I like this example, like somebody who's never tasted a strawberry and somebody that's actually tasted a strawberry. The person that then read about the strawberry and done research on the strawberry can give you like all of this, and it sounds good. You know, even if you got good oratory skills and stuff, you know, okay. But I want to hear from the person that's actually tasted the strawberry. They be like, oh my God. First of all, the color can't even begin to tell you. You just by looking at it, you would not even begin to even fathom how juicy this is when you bite into it. Because when I first bit into this, first of all, it was the sweetest taste. And they'll start giving examples of different things that are close to it. Not like a cherry. It's like juicier than a cherry. And they get into all these details. It's like, what? And you didn't bring any strawberries for us to taste? Like, don't do this to us. You should have strawberries up here for us to taste. That's the person I want to hear, right? So while they're talking about tongues, I can tell that you may have like dabbled in it a little, right? But anyway, to get to the point, I can tell that they're just talking about it based on what they hear and what people do just to kind of like get into the practice and all this stuff, but not really. So I played the devil's advocate. I asked the question. And of course, it's crazy because nobody ever like my questions or comment or respond to it. And not even this person. I'm like, am I blocked on this channel or something? And can I only see my own stuff? Because my questions, I asked real questions. So they said, you know, they teach you that speaking in tongues is the evidence of the Holy Ghost. I'm like, well, okay, I got a question. So I've seen other religions also speaking in tongues, and they get spiritual insight as well, right? I ain't getting into all of, they could be getting the information from false gods and falsehoods, which a lot of times they do be right, but I ain't say all that yet. But I just asked the basic question first, because if you wouldn't even think about this, I'll be wasting my breath even saying the other stuff and where the information actually originating from, right? Because y'all information is probably originating from the same place their information is originated from, right? So I said, okay, so I've seen people in other religions who also speak in tongues, who do not profess that Jesus is Lord, nor that he saves, nor do they believe in the Holy Ghost. I said, but they also get spiritual insight when they pray in tongues or chant or whatever, right? And I said, what would you say of them? Would you say that they're also filled with the Holy Ghost? I said, what they get, where does that come from? Nobody touches it. Nobody even, people is looking at it. I can tell. Listen, I can tell people looking at it because I can see who subscribes to me, right? When I tell you I go in, I'm like really nosy. And so I keep track of stuff and I try and put two and two together. So I know people are looking at it, because I'll get new subscribers here and there and it links me back and I'll go looking at their stuff and I follow. I was like, oh, you come directly from over here. This is where I first seen you and you're active over here, right? So I know, it's like, that's a good question. Yeah. Why don't you ever answer any of her questions? And it could just be, you may not even see my questions because of all of the billions of people who leave comments. So what I purposely do, I wait till the video is no longer being actively commented on, right? Because they put up a new video and it's like within 10 minutes, you got 1,000 comments. I know you ain't got time to read all of them, at least not right then and there. So I check the video periodically after a few days. When I see the last comment has been like 5 days ago, then I ask my question. Because what'll happen is in your notifications, you got a new comment, a new notification from this video from 5 days ago. And I know me, I'm like, oh, what video was that? Boom. And so I think they see the question just because my method of making sure you could possibly see it, because I really want like a real answer. But I'm not sure if it's actually them that checks their questions, or if it's now a whole team that does it. And now that it's growing, it's more people looking at it, but I do see that they respond to certain questions, and then they'll respond to it, or they'll pin whatever it is they're responding to at the top of their comment section and respond to it. And then everybody see they're responding to this, they'll start making comments trying to get their question and answer and all this stuff, and just completely ignores. I understand you got to pick and choose because you be answering people questions all day, but I'm like, I know this person sees it, because a couple different times there were things said in the video. I was like, you have to have read my question. You ain't saying nothing, but I can tell you what I said. You've kind of like made a rebuttal without saying you saw the question that I asked, but it's making you think. So this is one that I actively follow and watch, because I think they're like right there. They're like right there. But they're at that point, is Jesus everything? But starting to question something, but I gotta keep going because it's you can tell the person is being conflicted, and it's like, and I just keep watching, so. Oh, Vanette, I like that. What you say, it's like when we're talking about a strawberry, it's like somebody who's telling you how to raise your children and never had a child. Absolutely. This is the perfect example. Okay, let me finish this. We're at 1 hour and 3 minutes. Okay, hold on. Verse 4, page 609. So God gave Zacchaeus signs. Hold on, let me go back up to 3. Let me just start over. Verse 1. For 4 years, Zacchaeus preached, traveling from the east to the west and from the north to the south, and wherever he went, great multitudes came to hear him, for God had so prepared them. And there went with him 72 disciples, who were also inspired of God, to learn the wisdom of Zacchaeus' words. And the people of Vidu were stirred up as they had not been from the time of Capelia. And it came to pass that the priests and magicians of Brahma sought to condemn Zacchaeus, saying, the oracles and the spirits of the dead declare, his words are not true words. Moreover, if he were of the Holy Ghost, he could show signs and miracles. So God gave Zacchaeus signs and miracles, even to showing the spirits of the dead, who came and stood beside him whilst he preached. And the spirits spake also, declaring Zacchaeus' words were of Jehovah. And the multitude saw the spirits, and he heard them speak. Zacchaeus said, of a truth, I do not come of the Holy Ghost. I come of the actual person, Jehovah, or Maz. Then God gave to Zacchaeus power of the death cast, whereat his own spirit went out of his corporal body and stood in the presence of many men, and was seen by them, and his spirit spake to them, and they heard his words. And whilst his spirit was thus out of his corporal body, or what we call astral projecting or out-of-body experiences, like we can practice and learn to do that now. Do it under the teaching of the Creator, so you don't find yourself somewhere and get stuck. And we're going to bury you because you didn't took a shortcut. Bruh, it wasn't your time to go. And while his spirit was thus out of his corporal body, another angel of God came and inhabited it and spake before the multitude. Now after these signs came, Now after these signs came to Zacchaeus, he preached again and traveled 4 years more, showing these things wherever he went. And on the occasions he explained the spirit of things and the different heavens which he had visited. And he showed unto many that it was not imagination, for he left his corporal body and went into spirit to far off cities and country places, showing his spirit in regions hundreds of miles remote. And when he was recognized, and he was recognized in the communities where he appeared. Girl, I forgot you were sitting behind me. For there were learned men in those days, and they traveled to places named to see his spirit, to witness if such a thing could be, and hundreds and thousands of them testified it was true. Zacchaeus said, of these matters be ye most expert in observation, for though be proved to you, yet I declare to you, they are as nothing. For even magicians and spirits of darkness can attain to the same miracles, right? And so that right there also is where a lot of Christians get tripped up at, because they think, oh my gosh, well, you might be of this if you can do this. You know, these spirits, they get tripped up on a lot of miracles and stuff, and they only attribute it to Jesus Christ. And I'm like, y'all really need to come out of that and look at other places, because they're doing the same thing. They're just calling it different things, right? And that's how if you keep people ignorant of what else is out there in the world, you can truly get them to believe that this is the only thing. And when you see this, it's of God, right? I'm like, no, my G, that's of Tommy. He's doing that. Listen. Zacchaeus said, of these matters be ye most expert in observation, for though they be proved to you, yet I declare to you they are as nothing. For even magicians and spirits of darkness can attain to the same miracles. Nor is there in such wonders one single virtue that would contribute to make the world better or happier. For the spirits of the lower heavens, like mortals, have multitudes of doctrines, and for the most part, they know nothing of the higher heavens, nirvana, which I proclaim unto you. Nor is the testimony of a spirit more valuable to you than is the testimony of a mortal. But consider ye the words and doctrines of spirits and men, for that only is good, which provideth for ameliorating the condition of the family and the state. Let me read that again. Listen. But consider ye the words and doctrines of spirits and men, for that only is good, which provideth for the ameliorating or bettering the condition of the family and the state. For it is given unto you by the Father that ye can begin your own resurrection while ye are here in the corporal body, right? To whereas Christianity would tell you it's going to happen when Jesus come get you. You just keep holding on here. Hold on to his unchanging hand. And when you get there, that's when you grow. You get to see all this. I'm like, whew, Father, help us. Help our brethren and sisters. For it is given unto you by the Father that ye can begin your own resurrection while ye are here in the corporal body. Consider then what ye can do that will raise you in spirit, for this is resurrection. First, to purify yourselves. Second, to do all the good ye can. And third, to affiliate. Without these, there can be no resurrection. Right? So what do you think? What's the place? I forget the name of it. The cult people, they drank the Kool-Aid. I can't even remember the name. But a lot of them, they go within themselves and they stop communicating with the outside world, thinking that we're pure and real holy. We're going to keep ourselves separate and we're going to be resurrected this way, right? By whoever it is we believe is going to come resurrect us or come take us. Thank you, Jim Jones. Thank you. Yeah, Jonestown. Jim Jones. That's what I was thinking about, right? And they didn't get the resurrection they thought they was getting, right? Now, what the Creator teaches us, we're to be separate while still being within. Although we separate it's like we do both of them. Like we separate ourselves, but we don't, right? We separate ourselves to where we make sure that we're affiliating with those of like mind, but we still live within the midst of people who don't, because we can be a light in a dark world and they can see that this is possible, right? But we ain't really out there mingling with you and fooling with you like that, because if you're a little bit stronger in your ways than what we are, you might pull us out there, and then one day you might find yourself denying the Creator, right? And then you worshiping Jesus. And I'm just like, ooh, right? So we separate ourselves within the masses, but we're still there and we're accessible to them so that they can see. Like if they got questions, we give them the example of the higher light that they can see, which is why we shouldn't go off and cult ourselves off, and because somebody got Kool-Aid waiting for you somewhere. Listen. Consider then what ye can do that will raise you in spirit, for this is resurrection. First, to purify yourselves. Second, to do all the good you can. And third, to affiliate. Without these, there can be no resurrection. Or having two of them and lacking in the third, there can be no resurrection. To live the highest, best one knoweth, to practice sharply the convictions of the heart, these are the working tools of resurrection. I like that too, y'all. To live not the highest, best one, to live not the highest, best one knoweth. Well, let's say it right. Oh, yeah, I did. Let me just start the whole verse over again. Verse 19, page 609. To live the highest, best one knoweth, to practice sharply the convictions of the heart, these are the working tools of resurrection. To live not the highest, best one knoweth, to practice not what one is convinced of, is hypocrisy. These are like stones tied to the neck of a man in deep water. In all, Zacchaeus preached and practiced 14 years, and he founded 72 communities, and all the members thereof were sworn against war and against caste and against idleness, and to worship only the Great Spirit, Ormaz. And he gave them many rites and ceremonies. And then Zacchaeus said unto the Creator, I know thou hast in some mysterious ways inspired me to do all I have done. Therefore, all the glory is thine. How best, O Father, may these great truths be impressed upon mortals, that they will not soon forget thy words through me. Then answered God to Zacchaeus, saying, by thy death, by the hand of the idolater. Then answered God to Zacchaeus, saying, by thy death, by the hand of the idolater. Zacchaeus said, then, O thou who createst me alive, provide thou my death as thou desirest. Then God cut asunder the cord of light that extended to the heavenly throne in paradise. And suddenly, now the Brahmins conspired against Zacchaeus, and they went privately and poisoned his food with the blood of swine, killed with poison. And Zacchaeus ate thereof, not perceiving it, and he was taken with a bloody flux and died, right? Eating pork. Well, it told us, well, why couldn't he see that? It just said that you was going to die by the hands of these people, right? And so what did he have to do so that he couldn't perceive? He cut the cord of light that was connected to Zacchaeus so he wouldn't be able to see. But this will ultimately give the Creator the greatest glory and resurrect the most people by this way, right? So we should not move to the mountain and have our own community. I don't know. Are you just gonna stay up in the mountain and not? I don't know. I you know what? I can't answer that for you, Vanette. You know, because if I be like, you know, y'all go to the mountains and live, and then y'all get in trouble up there, and you ain't really doing anything, you ain't helping other people. You got light. I mean, you know what? Because if you go up into the mountain, technically you could be a light upon a hill. Mountain being high, go up in the mountain, light upon a hill. But I mean, if you can't share that light with others who need the light, I mean, you might as well go ahead and get up out of here. Go ahead and graduate into ethereal, my G, or to the, you know, be born into the S world. You know, so I mean, I don't know. Now think about that. You can be separate. I mean, use common sense. Like, if you, well, we are told to get out of the cities. Now, I would say, okay, now if I would tell somebody that, depending on where you're living at, like if you're living in Chi-Town, like in Chicago, you know, because sometimes the cities can be rough. And I would tell you, get thee out of the city. Right? Go into the countryside or something, right? Because it's a little safer there. You know, you can grow your own food. It'll help you. It'll teach you how to grow, become independent. You can start cultivating your own food. You're not so dependent upon the things that happen in the big city, because listen, look at this. What happens when the big cities get trouble from the supply chain where everybody to move to and made them lazy. Everybody's starving to death, right? And they don't know how to grow their food anymore. So at least that's my understanding. That's what I think. You go out to the countries, it gives you time to think. It unhooks you from the teeth, so to speak, and allows you the opportunity to grow. Oh my gosh, food is grown from the ground? What? We just go to the store and we don't know what they did, but every time we went to the store, we got it.
Everyone knows that plants grow.
What you say, boo?
Everybody knows that things grow from the ground.
I know I was being funny. I know I was just, I was being a little sarcastic. But he said, everybody knows things grow from the ground. You see how children are so innocent. Okay. But I was being sarcastic, right? It unhooks you. It gives you, it's like moving out of mom and dad's house, right? Because if you stay in there too long, you kind of handicapped, so to speak. Maybe not. But actually getting out will allow you a chance to grow and put into practice all those things you were taught to do while you were still at home, right? So I ain't saying moving to the mountains and becoming separated from the rest of the people in the world is necessarily a bad thing, right? But, just use wisdom, right? Because eventually I want to get out the big city. I want to go off into a country where not many people can come to my house all the time, right? And it's not all this traffic and all this other stuff, like nice and quiet and peacefulness. I like that, but y'all get it, right? Didn't I think Zarathustra have to go and get the king who separated his people from the rest of the world? Audrey, I think I read it wrong. Forever food, I like how you put that. That's what I'm trying to say. Forever food, first of all, shalom. That's becoming exclusive, and the Creator's people are amalgamated, not exclusive, right? So we're separate, but we're still a part, right? We're like easily accessible, like we're not necessarily. We, if you want to use that term, we are a light set upon the hill, but we are a light where people are like, oh my gosh, teach us your ways, help us. Yes, you put too much water in there, babe. Yeah, I like that's the perfect way. That's becoming exclusive, and the Creator's people are amalgamated, not exclusive. Yeah. Okay. Oh, okay, Vanette. Okay, that's what she said. That's what I meant to say, to live in a country. Okay. All right, y'all. Okay. Let me finish this, y'all, because everybody coming downstairs. We was almost done anyway. Verse 22. It's 28 verse. I'm going to just go back up to 22. And then Zacchaeus said unto the Creator, I know thou hast in some mysterious way inspired me to do all I have done. Therefore, all the glory is thine. How best, O Father, may these great truths be impressed upon mortals, that they will not soon forget thy words through me. Then answered God to Zacchaeus, saying, by thy death, by the hand of the idolater. Zacchaeus said, then, O thou who createst me alive, provide thou my death as thou desirest. If the best way for these people not forget the truth that you have spoken through me is for me to die through one of their hands, then so be it, right? Then it says right here, this is where he cut the cord of light so Zacchaeus couldn't see what was about to happen to him. Verse 25, Bella. Then God cut asunder the cord of light that extended to the heavenly throne in paradise. And suddenly, now the Brahmins conspired against Zacchaeus, and they went privately and poisoned his food with the blood of swine killed with poison. And Zacchaeus ate thereof, not perceiving it, and he was taken with a bloody flux and died. And his disciples took his body according to the custom of the country and burnt it and scattered the ashes thereof to the four corners of the world. And in the night thereafter, God sent 1,000,000 angels into the field of ashes with a heavenly ship of fire, and they took the spirit of Sakaea therein and bore him up to the throne of God. And this right here is the end of the history of Sakaea, and which is also going to be the end of our reading for today. All right, beautiful people. This was good. I never really heard anything about Sakaea. I actually know, well, not Sakaea, Sakay. I know two people actually named Sakay, right? So when I saw Sakaea, I was like, oh, maybe this is a female form of Sakay, right? But even Sakaea, this was a dude. So, but this was really good. So next time I talked to one of them, I was like, did you know that there's a story about a person named Sakaea? I know your name is Sakay, but you know, let me just share it, right? All right, y'all. With that being said, that is it for today. Page 609. It felt like we read more than these pages, probably because I had all my stories. All right, but look, also, I'm going to share it today. If y'all haven't seen Divergent, I know I be telling y'all to watch a lot of movies. You don't actually have to go watch them. I try to find the clip that I be talking about so you can just get right to it, because everybody may not have the time. And me, for real, a lot of times, I don't actually sit down and watch the movies. I'm doing a lot of stuff, so it's like I'm watching it while I'm moving or listening to it or whatever, right? But Divergent, I'm going to share this scene about Divergent when they run. Matter of fact, look, I'm gonna share a scene from each of the four factions. Hopefully I can find a video where it has the four factions in one video, so I don't have to share like 4 different clips. I'm gonna look for that first one when it's combined, so you can see the mindset of the different types of people. This is going back to explain, to at least give you like a mental picture of when we were talking about people who have, what was that at? That's too far. Oh, yeah. At the end of chapter 28, it was talking about people who are like really animated, right? Consider then that ye provide a time and place in the community for all of these in their own way, directing them holily. For if ye strive to bind them that are of exuberant spirits, not to dance and clap their hands, they will find vent in secrecy into an evil end. So I thought Divergent, the movie Divergent, the book is actually better. I actually read the series of books first, and it was like, oh my gosh, I was super excited when they actually made movies about it. But I'm gonna show you the little clip so you can just kind of see, right? And so this is what happens to people who have the wrong. Don't worry about it. Just sweep it up. This is what happened to people who have the wrong teachers for their particular being, right? Some people are more laid back. You probably need laid back teachers. You have people who are really engineer type minds, and you need an engineer type mind to be your teacher to teach you. But those that are of exuberant spirits, you need one who has learned how to what's the word? I ain't talking about one super wild and hasn't, one who has gained control over their exuberant spirit, and they can really amplify the power in having an exuberant spirit. You need one of those teachers, not one that's like completely free will, do as thou wilt, because those with exuberant spirits can also be completely out of control. You need someone who has learned about themselves, the type of spirit they have, and how to control that fire they have. That's what I was looking for. You need a controlled fire, exuberant teacher to teach you if you are divergent. Good. So I'm gonna share that clip with y'all today, or it'll possibly be, what was it? It was 5 factions. Divergent being the 5th one. It's kind of like Bruno. We don't talk about Bruno, right? It's like, ooh, they a little edgy. We don't mess around with them. They get you killed, mom. They gonna start rebellions. They gonna get you out there. That's what Divergents are. They either gonna start a rebellion or they gonna start a revolution, right? We on more the revolution side, right? We're gonna turn the world, I would say upside down, but we're gonna turn the world right side up, because it's been upside down because of the our opposite end of the spectrum, brethren and sisterin who are of exuberant spirits, right? We need the controlled fire, exuberant spirits to reel them back in and turn the world right side up.
Is there any more milk?
Do you see any more in there?
I got this.
There is no more oat milk. Check the refrigerator. No, it's locked. I don't think there's any out there either. All right, y'all. That is it for today, y'all. It is Friday, September the 16th, and I didn't even buy. Alicia bought that oat milk. I mean, that was for her girls anyway, so you really can't get mad, right? Because I didn't even buy this cereal, because I stopped buying cereal for y'all. So you really can't get mad.
It was the same cereal there.
Listen, chill. Okay, y'all. It is Friday, September the 16th, 2022. Day 214 of year 4, reading through the books of the law and the prophets, and of the 4-year consecutive day count, day 1232. We are still in OAHSPE in God's book of Esra, and we read pages 607 to page 609. And Father, we thank you that you are magnanimous. Y'all know what magnanimous is? I think I'm going to just hit y'all with these words that I'm going to lord on the Creator, and y'all got to go look them up. But Father, you are magnanimous. All right, y'all. With that being said, I love y'all, and I will see y'all back here tomorrow, 7:30, bright and early, Eastern Standard Time. Peace.